All presidents and members of Congress from time to time assert their authority to limit the jurisdiction of federal courts. No effort to cut back substantially on the power of judicial review itself has come close to succeeding. Why do you think that statement has proven to be true? In what ways, if any, can the power of the Supreme Court be checked? What limits, if any, should be placed on the power of judicial review? So whenever you're ready, you can begin.
In 1937, President Franklin Roosevelt declared, "We have reached the point as a nation where we must take action to save the Constitution from the Supreme Court." His remark embodies the frustration with an institution that consistently struck down pieces of New Deal legislation using judicial review. However, no effort to cut back substantially on the power of judicial review itself has come close to succeeding, even at DRs.
Ultimately, this power has been proven to be true because it has been historically consistent. It was valued by the framers, and attempts to overcome it are usually politically motivated. From as early as John Adams' case in 1610, judicial review has been a frequent practice of the courts using English common law. It was used by the colonial courts of the 1700s and even a limited judicial branch under the Articles of Confederation. The framers of the Constitution were well aware of this tradition and assumed the new federal court system would continue it. Federalist 78 makes this clear, asserting the interpretation of the law is the proper and peculiar province of the courts, and that the Constitution ought to be preferred by that statute. Additionally, attempts to overcome judicial review are often politically motivated, like John Adams' midnight appointments, which allowed John Marshall to decide Marbury versus Madison, a decision he should have recused himself from, or the Judicial Acts of 1866 and 1869, which altered the number of justices on the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court can be checked by the other branches of government itself and by external pressures. Congress has several options. They can legislate around court-imposed barriers, amend the Constitution, impeach existing judges, and control the confirmation of future ones. In the 1997 case, U.S. v. Lopez, the Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1990 was held unconstitutional, but Congress rewrote the law to bypass the ruling. The 11th, 13th, 14th, 16th, 19th, and 26th Amendments have come as reaction to Supreme Court decisions. For example, the 16th Amendment came as a direct response from the decision in Pollock v. Farmers Loan and Trust Company.
Congress can use its power of impeachment to remove justices from office. The last attempt was 209 years ago, in 1804, when Congress unsuccessfully impeached Samuel Chase. Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 of the Constitution empowers the Senate to confirm or deny presidential nominations to the court, as was the case with Ronald Reagan's appointment of Robert Bork in 1987. Beyond appointments, presidents are able to selectively enforce the court's ruling. After the decision in Worcester v. Georgia, President Andrew Jackson is famously attributed to have said, "John Marshall has made his decision, now let him enforce it." Jackson proceeded to push the Indian Removal Act through Congress, forcibly evicting the Indians. The Supreme Court also contains internal checks, like recusal and the rule of 4. The public and special interest groups can also have considerable influence. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes was influenced by trusted constitutional scholars after his decision in Schenck v. U.S., which caused him to call forth U.S. v. Abrams in order to question his own clear and present danger doctrine. In 1904, muckraker Ida Tarbell published the History of Standard Oil Company, which applied pressure to make the Supreme Court break up the Standard Oil monopoly.
In his comments on the Supreme Court, Brutus worried, "There is no power above them to control any of their decisions." He played on the people's fear that there was no limit to their power. However, the other branches of government have all the means necessary for effectively limiting judicial review. Therefore, no additional limits need to be put in place as long as the original ones are used properly. A study conducted by Professor Richard Hassan found that in each 2-year congressional term from 1975 to 1990, Congress bypassed an average of 12 Supreme Court decisions. This number fell to just 2.7 in the last dozen years. This shows that judicial review is being challenged less by Congress.
The president could use the President Jackson's approach and simply ignore the precedent set by judicial review. But that is not common either. Richard Nixon came close when he threatened to withhold the White House tapes, which would have gone against the decision in U.S. v. Nixon. But he eventually handed the majority of the tapes over.
In Federalist 78, Alexander Hamilton stated, "The judiciary has no influence over either the sword or the purse, no direction either of the strength or the wealth of the society, and can take no active resolution. Judicial review allows the courts to have more power, but ultimately the legislature and executive can still defeat it. They just have to use their weapons. Thank you.
436.